Hello everyone, welcome to the Tech and Auto Show. I'm your host Manav Sinha and it is so good to see all of you lovely people once again. I hope all of you guys are doing well, staying safe and staying away from people as much as possible because, well, the coronavirus pandemic isn't exactly over yet. Now, with that out of the way, we have to talk about what's on the show, and trust me, there's a lot of action that we've packed into this episode. So without any further ado, let's kick things off by first showing you a glimpse of what you can expect over the course of the next half an hour. This week, we'll be taking you for a drive in the all-new Volkswagen Taigun SUV. That's not it, we'll also hit up the gaming street and find out all about the Apple Arcade. And we'll also take a look at how your future desktop PCs or laptops are going to be by telling you all about the Windows 11. So there you have it, all of that action will be coming your way, and yes, this is the 2021 Honda Amaze that's giving us company today for this episode. Now, we're going to start off with the world of SUVs, and in that world, Volkswagen is really giving it all once again with the Volkswagen Taigun SUV. It's a really important product for the Volkswagen Group, and they seem to have pulled out all the stops in order to make it exciting and a success in the coming time. But will that happen? How good is the car really? So before it reaches the dealerships and reaches the people's drive yards, Archit Garg got hands on the car, and here's how his experience went.
Volkswagen is one of the largest global automakers, and they had a cracking start in the Indian market with the launch of products like the Polo and the Vento. But somewhere down the line, they lost the mojo with whole SUV wave coming in India. Now, however, with the India Strategy 2.0, they have a newfound confidence, and one product that is at the center of this strategy is with me today. Meet the Volkswagen Taigun. Now don't confuse it with the Tiguan because that is a more premium SUV that is priced at about rupees 30 lakh. This product, however, will be launched in a price bracket of around 10 to 17 lakh. Well, let's start our review. They say a good design is half the battle won, and for me, the Volkswagen Taigun is a winner of sorts thanks to its premium design, which is inspired from the bigger SUVs like the Tiguan and the T-Roc. And then Volkswagen has added further elements like this chrome lip here and the large connected tail lamps that elevates and enhances the whole design and makes it look bigger than its sister, the Skoda Kushaq. Then there are more design elements like the roof rails, blacked out tail lamps, integrated spoiler and much more to make it stand out of the crowd. Volkswagen is offering 5 color options with the Taigun, among which the curcuma yellow and the cherry red are the ones to look out for. Overall, the SUV is not as big as some of the rivals, but is more premium than everyone else. Now there's something unique about the Volkswagen Taigun's cabin where I am sitting right now. It's simple, it's clutter-free, it's high on quality, and more than anything, it's very easy on the eye. And I'm especially loving this unique looking infotainment screen here. But what I'm missing here is a large panoramic sunroof and an elaborate connected technology which some of the rivals are offering in this segment. What it gets, however, is a 10-inch infotainment system with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, along with the Volkswagen Connect app, but not with the embedded SIM, hence less functionalities. It also gets ventilated front seats, ambient lighting with red color that adds to a sporty touch, and a 8-inch digital instrument cluster, among others. Now, Volkswagen is claiming that the legroom at the rear of the Taigun is industry best thanks to these scooped out seats which are not your typical flat bench seating arrangement. But having said that, and while I'm sitting here, I'm realizing the shoulder room is not as much to accommodate 3 full-grown adults, while the headroom is ample for even a taller passenger at 6 foot. The floor at the rear has a flat tunnel, making it easy for 3 passengers to sit with ease, at least in the legroom department. It has good overall practicality with enough cubby holes to keep your usual stuff. As for the boot, it is amply deep to hold bags in standing position but not very wide. Safety-wise, the Volkswagen Taigun gets 6 airbags, ESC, tire pressure deflation warning, hill hold control among others. Now Volkswagen is offering only two engine options, both petrol, with the new Volkswagen Taigun. First is the smaller 1 liter TSI and the bigger 1.5 liter TSI, which we are driving today, and it produces 150 PS and 250 Newton meter of torque. In terms of gearbox options, there's a 6-speed manual, a 6-speed automatic, and top of the line 7-speed DSG gearbox. But no number can actually define how good the Taigun is to drive. If you have ever driven the Tiguan, that's the driving dynamics Volkswagen has managed to put in this small car. If not, think it as a perfect car if you love driving your vehicle. The steering has nice feedback, the suspension tuned as per the Indian roads, soaking almost all the bumps, and the braking is also on point. As for the 1 liter TSI engine, we didn't get a chance to have a go at it, but numbers wise it gets 115 PS and 178 Newton meter output, and there's no DSG in it. Even the NVH levels are similar to a more premium German car, refined and controlled with no noise creeping in. Volkswagen has played every trick in their arsenal to make the Taigun as attractive offering as they can. It looks very good, especially in the color we have with us today, and gets a unique looking cabin but misses out on some key features. Having said that, the driving dynamics are killer to say the least. Whether or not it will survive in our market, only time will tell, and for that Volkswagen has to play the pricing card very strategically. For now, I'm feeling very optimistic about the Volkswagen's 2.0 strategy thanks to this Taigun SUV.
So there you have it. That was the Volkswagen Taigun SUV. It's coming to the markets really soon, so stay tuned for more updates. But now it's time to move on to the world of technology, and it's time to talk about gaming. Yes, gaming. Now that is something that has seen the biggest boom ever thanks to the coronavirus pandemic and lockdown, as people just wanted to stay around at the house, laze around and do gaming. Now Apple really wants an action of that pie, as they've come out with Apple Arcade. It's launched in India. Our in-house gaming champion Shovik has given it a go, and here's what he has to say about it.
Back when Apple introduced Arcade alongside TV Plus and other services, it was looked at as one of the most obvious ways forward for the Cupertino giant. You see, gaming formed a massive part of the revenues that Apple earned from its App Store. So naturally, the evolution of the process was expected to be that Apple is going to introduce a gaming subscription service, and hence Apple Arcade was born. 2 years ago, Apple said that the service is going to give users hundreds of games for a fixed sum every month. That sum is $4.99 in the United States and other global markets, and 99 rupees a month in India. Now at 99 rupees, Apple today gives access to almost 200 games with Arcade and gives them in full versions, which are all free to play as long as you pay that subscription fee. On this note, does it make sense for you to subscribe to Apple Arcade? Does it have enough to excite the mobile gamer in you? And what are the shortcomings that Apple can improve over time? Let's find out in our review of Apple Arcade. Now before we dive deeper, we take a look at Arcade's discoverability and collection. On overall terms, Apple Arcade is pretty straightforward to find. You go onto the App Store and you find a dedicated tab for Arcade. Once you tap on Arcade, you'll be asked to subscribe and you get 1 month free, which is per usual standards from Apple. Now once you subscribe to the service, you discover that there are multiple ways in which you can discover games on Arcade. There are new releases, there are the most popular picks, and then the games are classified as per their genre, and they are also classified in terms of demand. Some of them are classified as Arcade Original, some of them are classified as Gaming Classics, and so on and so forth. There are multiple ways to discover this, and if you don't want to do that, and if you want access to all the games that are there on Arcade, you can simply scroll down, click on See More, and all the games on Arcade will load, giving you a chronologically arranged order in which the newest game will be at the top, and the upcoming games will also be listed as a carousel at the very top. Now, this makes game discovery pretty easy and straightforward. However, there are a number of lists which might seem a little repetitive in nature in terms of what you see on arcade, and on overall terms, there is a slight room for redesign or improvement in terms of the arcade interface on the App Store. In terms of game collection, Arcade does a fairly decent job, and with almost 200 games available to you at just 99 rupees a month, this seems like a bit of a steal deal. Honestly, Arcade does offer you plenty of games, and there is something for almost everyone. You've got racing games, you've got sports, you've got simulation, you've got action adventure, you've got platformers, and there are plenty of games available for everyone. However, there is one slight qualm in the sense that Apple might want a couple of big names to head over to the platform, such as NBA 2K21, which has recently joined Arcade. We need a few more games like NBA in order for Arcade to have that straight up consumer appeal. Right now, there are plenty of indie games, and all the games that are available are actually quite good. However, it's something that will appeal to possibly a little more niche users and not the mass users in general. So having a title like Need for Speed, or one of the more popular battle royale titles, or even some of the more popular sports titles such as the new eFootball, which was once upon a time PES, and stuff like that, is probably going to make the service more appealing. Alongside the collection, the few biggest perks of Apple Arcade, which makes it totally worth subscribing to, is the lack of ads and the lack of in-app purchases. You see, with Apple Arcade, once you subscribe, you get access to all the games under Arcade in full version, and there are no in-app purchases that you are required to make. As a result, you will not get repeated prompts in order to buy season passes, in order to buy unlockable characters and outfits and celebrations and so on and so forth. And that actually makes a huge difference. It makes gaming feel more natural, it makes gaming feel more intuitive, and the fact that there are no in-app ads that are being served makes you sit and game for long hours without getting distracted. And it is then that you realize how having no ads in a service makes such a huge difference in terms of good user experience. And on that front, Apple Arcade is totally worth subscribing to. In fact, the format of paying one fixed sum every month to get access to games in the full version without having any in-app purchases to make is something that makes a whole world of difference, and even parents would probably feel more comfortable so that their children may not end up swiping credit cards by mistake. So to sum up, does Apple Arcade make sense for you to subscribe, and 2 years later, does it make for a service that is impressive to use and again is worth subscribing to? Well, all things considered, possibly yes. If you spend a lot of time on the move and you are looking for entertainment and you're not sure which shows to watch, Arcade is a good subscription to have. It's not expensive, which is possibly its biggest pro, and along with that you get no ads and you don't need to spend more on in-app purchases or in-game expansions, and all of that makes Apple Arcade a pretty strong service to use. It's got n number of games, it's got almost 200 games, so it gives you plenty of variety to use and consider. And yes, while you may not have some of the most popular titles, it's still good enough, and there are plenty of popular and exciting games to play on the service. There is room for improvement in terms of more games that can come on the platform and the discoverability of games on the App Store interface. But all things considered, Apple Arcade 2 years down the line seems to be a service that can become much bigger if Apple plays its cards right by expanding its games platform to include more popular titles.
Welcome back. You're watching the Tech and Auto Show, and I'm your host Manav Sinha. Now, before going for the short commercial break, we promised you that once we're back, we will be taking a look at the future of computing. Well, what I was referring to is Windows 11. So after a long time, when Microsoft said that Windows 10 will be the final Windows version and there will only be updates, they're now saying that they're going to come out with an all-new version called the Windows 11, of course. So what are the changes going to be in it? Well, here's the lowdown.
Back when Microsoft announced Windows 10, they famously stated that the company is not gonna make new Windows versions anymore and Windows 10 would be incrementally updated to keep the experience fresh. Well, that didn't turn out to be true, thankfully, because Windows 10 had a lot going against it, including an aging UI. All of that was revamped by Microsoft on June 24th when they introduced Windows 11 with very obviously a new interface. Now since then, Windows 11 has been tested by multiple people and it has been going around insider rounds, and a number of new features have come up stating and showing what all does the new operating system come with. On this note, we take a look at our top picks from what's new on Windows 11 and everything that has been seen and reported so far, and how your Windows experience is gonna change with Windows 11. Now to begin with, Windows 11's most obvious and new feature is the new interface, and the new interface starts with a redesigned start menu experience. Now the new start button and the start menu has been centered on the lower taskbar, and this makes the interface feel different and new. The new interface makes sure that the start button is no longer a static presence on your device and is a dynamic unit which gives you contextual references in terms of the apps that you use and all the services that you'd want to access on priority. The start button can also of course be shifted to the left if you don't want to change your overall usage experience, and Microsoft has tried to strike a balance between familiarity and new with the new start button. Now that brings us to the second point of what's new with Windows 11, and this is something that you've possibly noticed already in teasers and videos out on the internet, which are new icons and a new interface. Now Microsoft has been revamping its icons over time, and it has changed its Office Suites icons, and that had given an indication of things to come. And with Windows 11, the new File Explorer experience is quite different from Windows 10. Effectively, the process of usage remains the same, which means that users won't need to rehash their muscle memory or remap their muscle memory in terms of how they use their laptops and desktops. However, File Explorer finally gets new icons and it looks sleeker and much smoother and has micro changes which makes it more interesting to use. The third new feature which we're pretty excited to see with Windows 11 is the new Action Center, which is designed in a mobile first layout. What does that exactly mean is that Microsoft has taken a page out of Apple's notebook and made sure that the control center or the action center or the center where all the quick settings are organized, such as volume and brightness and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, are all organized into a neat little corner on the toolbar, which is very similar to how you access your quick settings on your smartphone. Given that this is something that we've gotten used to using on all our devices, it's only natural that the next generation of PCs should also have something similar, and this finally gives users a quick way to access Bluetooth, something that has not exactly been the most intuitive front for Windows on laptops and desktops. Now this new interface also gives way to a new feature that Microsoft's Windows chief Panos Panay has tweeted himself recently, and that's called Focus Assist. It's something that many smartphones have introduced over time, and it's this specific focus mode which is designed to help you concentrate on just your work and remove distractions such as notifications and access to other services which would enable you to procrastinate. So on this note, Focus Assist is supposed to come in as an integral part of the new Windows experience and make sure that you have access to your music and just your work services so that you can get work done without any interruptions. This makes the new Windows 11 experience more intuitive in nature and not something that is as static or old generation as before. Now finally, coming up to the final feature is of course the redesigned Windows Store, which Microsoft hopes is going to be as intuitive as using App Store on an Apple device. The Windows Store has finally gotten a redesign. It does not feel like an external part of the Microsoft experience which has been stuck on the way it feels like in Windows 10. And with Windows 11, the Microsoft Store's design is also in line with the operating system, and it finally has a good way to recommend apps and a neat interface through which it can appeal to users. On this note, Microsoft Store is expected to become a hub for developers to promote their apps on and finally give them more worth to pitch their apps to users. And this brings us to an end to the list of the top 5 features which we expect to see, which we know we'll see in Windows 11, and we're pretty sure that this is going to make a sizable impact on the overall usage experience.
And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of the Tech and Auto Show. How did you find the show? Is there anything you have to say, anything you want us to cover, or you simply want to have a conversation with us? Well, reach out to us on Twitter, that's where we are hanging. For tech, reach out to us at News18 Tech. For auto, reach out to us at News18 Auto. And remember, by logging on to news18.com, you can read more on both these industries as well as the 2021 Honda Amaze. Well, that's about all for today. I'll catch you same time next week, only on CNN News 18.